Hey everybody, Brad Linder back with you again, as if you didn't know that if you're on my friends list. Uh, Thanks everybody for participating in all of these things. Knocking out Doctor Octopus today. It is a classic version. It is not the new one or even the movie rendition with the flat triangular lobster claw thing going on. We are knocking out the classic green and orange dressed Doc. So that's where we're at today. Believe it or not, this is card number 47 in this series. Knocking these things out. I was having a private discussion offline, and it was pointed out to me that I had hit number 47. I was just, wow. So over the weekend, we're going to hit card 50. I'm going to have to do something special for that. For you guys putting up with me drawing these things for so long. We're going to have to do something special about that. I am going with a little bit modern version. It's the classic Doc Ock, of course, but I just like to segment the suit because it looks better anatomically. So it's just got a better visual look to it. So I like to segment these things out. And then, of course, we've got the soup bowl haircut that he's so famous for. And the classic silver sunglasses, not the goggles that some people like to put him in. I put him in more of the traditional silver goggles or silver sunshades that he had on, which is supposed to be a visor due to the accident making him light sensitive. But at one point I was told that it may be something to do with the a visor control for the arms as well. So, which is how they got away with that, not having to say it was a telekinetic thing. You know, it was more technology. And because this is so small, he's going to be kind of gritty in the background here. And I apologize for that, but like I said, due to the space, it's either make him look dynamic and make it pop, or, we lose a little bit of the edge on the detail by making him smaller so it'll get full body shots, because people have asked me to do more full body rather than just the close-ups. But again, it depends on what I'm doing with the shot. And this guy is so simple in his costume. To make him really jump off, it's got to be really dynamic. So that's the give there, the give and take of it. I ran right across the end of that. Live art, people. Live art. It's okay to make mistakes. Just be sure and correct them when you see them. I draw through stuff all the time, unfortunately. It's an old habit. When I picked up the animation style that I took, high influences from, I tend to lean on this a lot. And when I did, I started cutting across the lines, because if you look in this layout, I've got his leg right here, and I drew over it to get the perspective cropped properly. And what I ended up doing was I drew the line straight through that arm clamp there. It happens. So, if you're going to do a comic thing, get used to it. It happens more often than any of us ever admit. That's why we don't draw on camera. It's evidence. So, But I've been doing this a long time now, and I'm still learning. Leonardo da Vinci didn't say anything about mastery of his craft until he was well over 60 years old, which cracked me up because he was reported saying something along the line of, I'm still a student, and I'm still trying to master my craft. What's your next goal? Well, it's still to master my craft. I just thought that was phenomenal. So we've got that leg coming in there. I'm going to put in this other clamp right here. And then I'll draw the rest of that boot behind it. And I don't make him in the parachute long pants either. I put him in actual boots. So you don't have to worry about that. And I loved what they did with them in the Spider-Man cartoon, the 1990s 2000 version. That animated series that came out there for a while was really, really cool because it stuck to the original versions of the characters. Of course, now they've got Ultimate Spider-Man, which has gone, awry with all different kinds of modern variations from what Disney has revamped as the Marvel Now. So you get different incarnations, but I just stick with what I know because I like the classics. Now the classics, anyway, that's what they are. But because they don't exist in the comics anymore. That's coming off pretty quick. Of course, I know this is a simple design, but it's coming off a lot cleaner than I thought it would. And the crickets are chirping. I got quiet again. Sorry about that. Okay. And this character was almost married to a lot of the classic Spider-Man fans will know this. She, let's see, Aunt May is who I was thinking of there. She almost married him once in the 60s, once in the 70s, and I think 2 or 3 times in the 80s. Talk about an on-off again relationship. That was just wild. But then we had Superior Spider-Man, where Doc actually took over Peter's body for a while in the comic book. He's degrading and has some health issues, to put it lightly and simply. And he started taking over Peter's body. It got pretty wonky there for a while. Of course, now we've got Miles Morales in there for the most part. And I was reading this morning that he's going to take Doc Ock is going to take a huge storyline chunk out of the new Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider that's coming out. It's in issue, I think, 3 or 4 now. And I haven't been reading it. I didn't even know it was out until today. And normally I stay on top of that stuff. But I have so few books that I actually read now. I just fill in older collection pieces and trades and stuff. So, I got one that I'm going to check out. See what's going on. I really enjoy that character. The Scarlet Spider, that is. Okay, now with this one, I'm going to start making this pop off and clean up these lines a little bit. I know I'm really sketchy on this one, opening this up. But again, it's a little more raw than I've actually done in the past with these cards. This one was really, really quick sketched and popped out. Not making excuses by any means, just saying it was a little bit different style for what I'm using on a day-to-day basis. I've been practicing a little bit more quick sketch to get some more stuff done and get a little more air to it or dynamic to it, and leaving it a little more open so I can cut into some more details like I did with that card yesterday, if you saw it, the Mr. Freeze. I had a young lady try to buy that one from me for her son yesterday, which I haven't decided to let go of any of these yet. So what I did was I comped her a nice 8.5 by 11 that I'm going to send to her. So it's for her son's birthday and he loves the character, so I thought I'd do something nice about it since I'm not going to give up that card just yet. I have other plans for them down the line. I think I'm just going to cut this hair, trim it out, and just go ahead and detail that out real quick, because he's got kind of a Mo Howard soup bowl haircut. I mean, it's not really a true Beatles cut. It's more like on the Three Stooges Mo Howard, rather than the 60s style cut that they had intended. And yes, I'm doing that hair flat on purpose. That's just a style choice. I could have gone in there and drawn it up, but with this small of a image, I don't want to muddy up the water too much by trying to put in too much detail, because it'll just make it look as bad, you know, as leaving it open. And I don't want to do that. Because this is a bright green neon suit with the old classic yellow-orange gloves and boots and tights. So, what I'm going to do now is I think I'm just going to render these out and give everybody the cool Doc Ock look that they're waiting for. Hopefully you are. Now I'm going to put in these coils for flex like this. And then I'll go back and behind, right here in the middle, I'll start one for an example. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that line in there to pop it out. And I'll go down the line first before I do any more of these after these three here. Because it shows that edge of depth and gives it a little more openness to it. And some people don't like to do that. I prefer to. Because on the classic style, it looks a little flat if you don't. It just tends to make them pop off a little more, in my opinion. Some of you may disagree. And got to draw through right here, because that's the underarm right there. I just want to draw through there and make sure we put that in for the back of that. Okay. I'm going to come over here and instead of putting this one on the top right above, I'm going to put this one right here. I know a lot of people are going to freak out about that and be like, well, it's not even. It's not even to begin with, but that's okay. This is a sketch card, so that's all right. If you do these, and or any drawing for that fact, just keep in mind, you know, if it comes out funky and it bothers you, that's something to change. But if it doesn't, that's okay, because these are organic and they actually change shape and form. The original ones were able to bulk out at the ends and had other stuff in them. Lasers, one point I remember. I mean, it was just crazy. So enjoy it, you know. I mean, if you edge it out and it feels wonky to you, that's one thing. But, you know, and I mean, if you're doing client work, don't do that, you know. Go back and fix it. But if you're just doing something personal or something like this for entertainment purposes, enjoy it. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. You can always change it. And when I ink it, I may change that, but I doubt it. Because like I said, these are very organic and change shape. So I remember when I was a kid that they used to have these worm type knobs on the end of them, and they would that would change shape. And the pinchers were way off. Now see, like that one, I don't like that one. We're going to fix that. Because I don't like that one myself, so should have curved it more. And like I said, you know, I make mistakes all the time, and you just, that's what erasers are for. Don't sweat that stuff. It's not about being perfect. It's about being productive and mastering the craft and pushing through and correcting the mistakes as they come. A lot of people will freak out about that, but I won't. So, okay, we've got a couple here. Now the key to drawing Doc Ock is to remember that the dude is all emotional, raw attitude. If you ever draw him, make sure that you stick to that. Stick more to the personality than the actual drawing itself of, you know, the aesthetic. And you'll get everything engulfed in place. And it'll just be boom, there's, you know, there's the shot. And you've got Doc coming right at you. Because you don't have the expression of eyes in this, so you have to use body language and you have to use the mouth expression. And your second go-to from the eyes and the face is always the hands. If you can do dynamic hands and get in there and show that, you're going to just nail it every time. because I mean he just looks like he's gripping down, crunching down. Right here, his stomach and abdomen is all bent up, so you can tell it's fully flexed and crunched, so that you can get that maximum effort out of his back to get those the arms and tendrils out at his target. So, but like I said, with this one being so clean and so light, I'm going to control it with color rather than dark shading, and I'm going to put in a couple of key shades. That's it, because this suit is so light, I don't want to damage the look of it at all. We might get a little bit of a pop out of it, and that's it. Otherwise it changes the dynamic and the style and goes into something totally different, because this lime green suit is hard to miss and it's hard to shade that way. It doesn't have those hard shadows. A lot of people like to ridge them out and make them just viciously hard, and you can't do that and still maintain a solid look. Because, you know, an artist friend of mine, I won't say who said it, but he told me the best example of this that I could ever say to anybody. And it's like looking at Legos in the sunlight. You know, there's no shadow to them, because they're so brightly colored. You have the bottom shadow and that's it. So we have to darken up these edges like this and make it pop off, and that's about it. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow right here on the edge because of the way his hand's tipped, and that's going to be it, because I do not want to mess this up. Just hard edging everything. A little pop right there, a little pop right there, and now I'll put some typical metallic marks that I always make on these things. And again, like I told you, they were flexible, so you're going to have that curve right there, which looks awkward because of the way it turns over. So we'll connect that line. But the way I like to do the octopus arms on Doc Ock is I always make this line right here. I'll make that straight edge, and then I kind of bubble a triangle just barely off of one side. And it's a little bit different than what I do in a lot of these cases, because this particular character, like I said, these things are organic and these things are supposed to move, so they can morph. So it's really easy to drop it and have it on one side. A lot of people like to draw them stiff. I just don't. I want them to look like they can move and do some damage to you. Now on these, I'm going to do a little bit of a highlight instead of blacking it out. Because that's going to be the light source. But when we got this little shadow over here, we're going to have the light on this ridge, right up under here. So it's coming down from that way. So we're going to get shade under here with a dark green, and we'll get the light over there. And across this one, we'll get the same thing. We'll be able to get the highlight in there. And then I'll put the dark triangle on this side. And I'll put another one down here to show the underlight. And because these always glow red or yellow, depending on the colorist, I will leave them open and color them in. And since I did confirm the lights on that side, I'm going to put in just a little bit. But like I said, it's not very forgiving because it doesn't shade that way. It's just right on the edges. Now with the light source being over here, this is going to shine on this side, so that shadow will be down under here. And all we're doing is putting a line break right there. I'm not even going to triangle it out because, like I said, for that one it doesn't show. Now over here, it's going to show kind of on this break because the light's going to hit across the top. And as this curves out, it's going to be in shadow. I'm going to round out that end just a little bit. So I'm going to leave it raw because, like I said, I don't want to mess with the color too much. I'm going to put that shadow right there to pop, because the light would be hitting this end right here with the light coming across this way. So this piece right here is going to have a little awkward undershadow to it, but it's still going to be alright. Make sure the rest of them are going to show up. I think those will go with dark gray. We don't need to shadow them out because I don't want it to be awkward. I think we've got everything covered. So, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tomorrow, it's going to be a big one tomorrow. That is going to be card number 48, and it's going to be Captain America. We are going with a classic cap on it. It's going to be fun. I've got a couple ideas on that one already mapped out, and it's going to be a nice idea to share with you guys, I hope. And until then, I hope you enjoyed this thing, and I'll see you tomorrow.